Now remember in life that there's no solution to anything, really. All there are trade-offs. If we could solve anything, we really would solve something. Climate change, we're gonna solve it. I just was watching recently something that said all the way back in the 1960s, they told everyone that within 10 years, all of the world was going to be engulfed in a big ice cube. In the 1960s, in 10 years. This past year, it was going to be 12 years and society was going to be over. Everything in life was going to be over, and it's not. Life is going to go on, and just remember, although you can address something, you never really solve it because you have to have trade-offs. What about crime? Can't solve crime. If you could solve crime, you really would, but you can't. Why is it? Because in trying to solve it, what we do is we have to have trade-offs. Then all of a sudden that you get into some type of racism, whether it's morally, racially, or economically. There's these disparities and all of this when they never take into account that the reality for any of that is because of personal choice. People make personal choices. Just remember there's trade-offs. You see, what I'm talking to you about is what everyone knows, but nobody wants to deal with. No one wants to deal with. Now, I'm not even saying that they're doing this on purpose, but actually, they're doing it because the reality of something would be too painful to face. One of the major pillars in life is responsibility. That a person would become responsible for the things that they do. That they would become personally accountable for their life, for their actions, for their decisions. There's a woman who right now is on trial and it's an appeal, but she actually pushed down an 87-year-old vocal coach, and they gave her, because the vocal coach died, they gave her a sentence of 15 years, and they had to put her in handcuffs because she wouldn't accept the 15 years. She thought that that was way too much. Well, she could have gotten 25. She actually murdered, or let's just say manslaughtered, an individual, because there's no personal accountability. There's no personal responsibility. There's no guilt. There's no shame. You see, you have to know something. All of these things that I'm talking to you about are really a part of a person's character. It's good. Everyone has character. It's either virtuous or it lacks virtue. And character is always spoken about at different levels. It's not always at the same level. Because if you take it to the highest level, which is what society has really done now, they've taken something to the highest level and said that all of the rest of us in society, we don't know anything. And so everyone wants to make decisions for us and they want to tell us what's right, even if there's 80, 82, 83% of society is opposed to it. They themselves are going to just push it through because they believe that they know more than you know about your life. Why? Because they believe you have absolutely no virtue within you whatsoever. You see, character raises or it lowers depending upon how much of it is needed. And it also a situation reveals how much character is really present. Let me read something to you. That character is made up of the ideals by which you live. Because every failure in life can be traced in a misuse of a person's character. It's a misuse of their character. It's even in the church world. It doesn't matter if it's just in our culture or it's in our society, our government, our media outlets. None of that really matters. It's in the church just as well. The church isn't far behind in their lack of character. As a matter of fact, what it is that everyone has a different thing that causes them to rise up in their character. I'm aware of a situation right at this particular point of something that's been going on with an individual for at least 10 years that I know about. Something completely that has been happening for 10 years in my knowledge and in my sight. But because society caught them at something, now all of a sudden, everyone that was a fan, almost everyone that was a fan has now gone beyond being a fan to actually becoming a hater. And that's how the people that are closest to you can become the worst enemy of your life. Now, Billy Graham said something that was interesting. He said, when wealth is lost, he said, nothing is lost. He said, when health is lost, something is lost. He said, but when character is lost, he said, all is lost. Isn't that true? Because the lack of character that we have in our lives, in our churches, in our schools, that affects future generations to the point to where you and I cannot even function anymore. The elderly are no longer taken care of by those who are younger. You can't really decide what you want to do for your kids, and thus the bumper stickers are born. I'm just spending my children's inheritance. And you find that immoral type of an attitude and irresponsibility going throughout our society. Why is it? Because people have thrown character away.